content creators, not including me, what the fuck, Pearl Abyss, have gotten access to Crimson Desert, so we do get a little hands-on preview of the game. Well, they do. But we just have to watch. But this is from FightinCowboy. Crimson Desert preview impressions after 5 hours hands-on. This dude is not afraid to talk his mind, to say what he means. Yeah, you know what it, like, he's not afraid to get shit. He says it like it is. Let's take a look.
What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and today we're going to be talking about Crimson Desert. So I recently had a chance to attend a preview event out in LA. Pretty cool event, all in all. Had a chance to go hands-on with the game in the morning for about 4 hours. They dropped us into the game right at the very start, so played through the opening sequence, the tutorial, and then we were allowed to just pretty much do whatever we wanted. So the entire first realm,
Fuck it, Pearl Abyss, let's go!
Zone, whatever you want to call it, we were able to explore. And then we took a break. I got to hit somebody with an axe, which was super cool. And then from there, I got to drop into a late game snippet, taking a look at kind of how the game plays when you have a bunch of different abilities, when you have the dragon, the mech, the other characters, and get a feel for what it looks like in the later stages. And so I got a lot to talk about. You know, usually with these events, you might get to play something for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. It's rare that I have a chance to go more than 4 hours.
Okay, so the gameplay doesn't seem that chaotic as we've seen. It seems chaotic, but controlled.
Hands-on with something in a preview opportunity. And even then, if I had to describe it in one word, it would probably be overwhelming, just because there's so much going on with this game that even in that opening 4 hours I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface.
Ooh, yes.
So in terms of what order I want to talk about stuff, I figured the best way to do this would be to just approach it similarly to how I do reviews. And so with that in mind, let's jump in and talk about the gameplay, because there is a ton to discuss. And the first thing I want to talk about is just the raw combat gameplay, because we've seen a lot of it. I've had a lot of people asking about the controls and, you know, whether it's easy to do or hard to do or what the case is. So let's discuss.
Yeah.
So at a basic level, the combat's actually pretty simple. We have like a light attack, we have a heavy attack, we have a block and a parry, and then we have a dodge. But I can hold down the heavy attack to like empower it, and that's going to pull from a magic resource.
Makes sense.
I can hit light and heavy together, which will also do like a special of sorts. There's a bunch of other abilities, though, outside of just the basics there that you can unlock. So, like hitting A and X, for example, I'm able to clothesline an enemy if I'm sprinting at them. Or if I came up from behind, it did a freaking RKO. I'd jump up, grab them by their head, and you know, shoulder drop them onto the ground.
Oh, fuck
if I was hitting Y and B, I was picking up enemies and throwing them.
Kick.
And, you know,
Pump kick.
Shoulder drop them onto the ground.
Shut
if I was hitting Y
just let's go.
B, I was picking up enemies and throwing them, and not just like a little hip toss. We're talking like throwing them through windows, throwing them through fences, like exaggerated anime throws. Just
hey, I can do that. If I had more space, I would have shown you. Yeah, but hey, we don't have much space here in the Coliseum right now, so I don't want to ruin anything.
Shucking people. On top of that, there's a bunch of skills that I saw in the trailer that I couldn't even figure out how to execute. Like, I know we have this force push type mechanic.
What's awesome is that we've seen the gameplay of this when we take down, well, not take down, but fight Matthias. It was sunny. We had like different, we had this standard outfit, but here it's raining, it's dark, different outfit. Pretty sweet. I gotta be honest, because I hate when games, especially open world games, where they have set a specific time of day, specific weather. So even though it's raining, you start the quest, boom, hey, it's sunny day. I don't like that. It takes me out of the immersiveness. And I get it. They do want to make, maybe they just want to make the game in development a little easier. Or maybe they just have an idea in mind. Oh, I want this scene to be just like this. But still, though, it's kind of shit. You know, it's raining, suddenly just sunny, or vice versa. I mean, what? This is good. Of course, it always depends. But most of the time, I think it's shit.
Trailer that I couldn't even figure out how to execute. Like, I know we have this force push type mechanic, And I saw characters in one of the preview things that we were watching. He like did a triple force push up into the air and then a flying meteor kick down to the ground. It staggered a bunch of enemies, and it's absolutely insane. So
nice.
At a basic level, the combat is simple, and I feel like by the time I was done playing, I was grasping that. Like I was able to hit my parries, I was able to hit my heavy attacks, my charge attacks, bait enemies into certain things. In the secondary play session, I did manage to just kind of abuse the boss using those charge attacks, which was pretty funny because everyone else was refighting it, and I was like, oh, if I just use my light and heavy charge attack and swap to different elements, this guy gets cooked in like a couple charged heavy swings. So some minor balance concerns there, but we'll talk more about that at a later section of the video. But basically, like, the combat just has an insane level of freedom. And
yes, thank you.
It's especially when you're first starting out, it's going to feel very overwhelming as you like open up the skill trees and see all of these
zoom the fuck out
different options. But there's so much going on, whether you're focused on weapon play or you're focused on your elements or you're focused on like your grapples and your martial arts, that people are just going to have a riot playing this game. Like I said, I feel like even with the 4 hours I played, I feel like by the time I was done, I had a grasp of the combat basics, and there was still tons of stuff that I wasn't even sure how to execute. Now, in terms of button inputs for all this, I do think in combat, button inputs were fine. Outside of combat, I was constantly running into some button confusion on the controller. So to talk about that a little bit, one of the big things that I constantly was struggling with was like left stick was crouch, and I kept hitting left stick to sprint. And so I'd get ready to sprint.
I hope you can change that. What the fuck?
Sprint instead crouch. As far as I could see, there was no way to rebind the controller scheme.
That's what Joel Raptor talked about. Fuck. No remapping. Please. Pearl Abyss. Do something about it.
So that's obviously something that raises some concerns, but it might have been because we were in a demo, like, you know, a
But it depends, though. Do you run with circle? If you do, well, it's just like any other Asian game, so I don't fucking mind. But if it's R3 that is running, I mean, fuck that.
Game. The sprint's a little weird. It was like you held A to start sprinting, and then you would tap it to go from like
A is running.
Like a jog to a sprint, and then that would drain stamina faster. So
sprint. So what I would say is if you hold A, you run. If you tap A, I'm saying fucking A, I mean X, you sprint.
And just trying to get a feel for that, and then like also jumping and whatnot. Definitely was running into button confusion with the general controls. And then on top of that, there was environmental manipulation type things I could do. So
yeah,
we got something that was very similar to what we had in Breath of the Wild. And you got this as you progressed into the Abyss, which we'll talk more about that in the next section of the video. But I had the ability to grab objects and like freely manipulate them, push, pull, move all over. I had like a force push that I could do, and I could also jump and use that as a rappel. And then
that is pretty cool.
And I got the glide, but the glide was also along the same lines as the double jump. So like if I was on a flat platform, I would double jump. If I was jumping off a cliff, instead of getting a double jump, I transition into a glide. And so there were a lot of different inputs and controls.
I mean, fucking also just freedom. This game just screams freedom. I like it. I like it a lot. Just don't hold our hands, please.
That were, I want to say, overlapping, or what you would do would change depending on the situation you were in. And so I definitely think the control scheme for the game is going to be one of the hardest things for people to pick up and run with. And even myself, as I was playing through.
He's holding a cat?
After about the first hour, one of my first thoughts was like, you know, maybe I play this with mouse and keyboard. Like, there's so many different inputs going on that might be easier. And I tried to pick that up, and there just really wasn't enough time to like try and make that transition. And then on top of that, you know, the mouse and the keyboard were actually like really tight against the setup. They put some crazy straps on all the cables, so I could barely adjust that. I was like, screw it, I'm just going to go back to controller and try and learn what I can with this controller.
Okay, that sounds kind of shit. So what could make this have lower, what do you say? Lower score for the reviews would definitely be the controls. Remapping, key binding should be in all games day one.
Scheme and try and work with it. But yeah, the control scheme is absolutely going to be a learning curve. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that people are going to struggle with here.
Arm wrestling
to
too.
Talk about gameplay just out in the world, like emergent world options, because that's one of the things that really blew me away, because this was like an MMO level of activities that have been shoved into a single player game. And just to give you like the Cliff Notes version of my first trip to town, I showed up to town, there was like a cat meowing, I picked up the cat, suddenly I'm just carrying this cat around on my arm and petting it and shit. I found out after the fact I could apparently
petting it the shit, love it.
Raise the companion level of the cat up, and then it would just loot corpses for me after I killed enemies, which is crazy to hear.
Huh? So we can have companions? Like pets? Hey!
I wandered into some bar, got into an arm wrestling competition with some guy that seemed like he was kind of drunk. He actually ended up being pretty cool. After that, wandered outside. There was some kid in the street that wanted me to play rock, paper, scissors, so I got into a rock, paper, scissors battle with the kid. After that, some lady had a cat stuck up on a roof, so I jumped up on the roof to rescue some lady's cat. Another lady, her husband was faking being injured. I had to help clean their chimney. From there, I got an item, and then I finally went and like started progressing what the main quest was. So this was all just stuff that was in the town that I stumbled onto.
Fuck
and then on top of that, the way the main story progressed, so I had like a marker to go give a beggar a coin. I gave the beggar a coin, he vanished, but suddenly there was like a sewer that was highlighted. So I go down into the sewer, and then there was a princess that needed rescued, and I'm like, this is out of place. So I rescued the princess. That gave me some key. From there, made my way up towards one of the castles, had to change the clothing I was wearing to get into the castle so that they recognized that I was like, you know, not some hobo mercenary, and I was somebody that belonged to part of the town. Found a secret door that went into the Abyss realm, and that's what suddenly opened up all of the manipulation type stuff, like the object movement and the force push and all that. And then eventually progressed through this crazy puzzle in this Abyss area, which then gave me the ability to glide. So just like dude, it was.
Fuck, that's okay. Oh, we're gonna have fun.
It's like a roller coaster of stuff.
Yes.
And another thing, the puzzles in this game, I think that's one thing I really want to take a moment to talk about, because the puzzles in this game, I think, are going to be one of the most divisive things, because as much as people love to complain about yellow paint, like, oh, there's yellow paint, this game thinks I'm dumb. Bro, this game gives you nothing. Like, we can't.
Yes. Our kind of game. We're not fucking kids. Huh? Like we talked about before. We have eyes. We have noses. We have ears. What the fuck? We have brains. We can do this. Just fucking think.
Came up on a puzzle. There's like a hologram of like a guy doing a thing. And you're like, okay, so I got to do something over there. And that's it. Everything else, you just got to figure out.
Yes.
And honestly, I think the only reason that most of the people in that room got through the puzzles is because everyone was talking. Everyone was like, did you do this? What did you do over there? I did this. Like, people were bouncing ideas off each other back and forth. There is a lot of puzzles in this game. There was like a whole very intricate puzzle section in the late game portion that I played.
Hell yeah.
There was a pretty intricate puzzle section in the early game portion that I played.
As long as they fit the game and they don't ruin the flow of everything else, hey, let's go.
And like, you're not getting handheld at all. You know, you don't have Aloy being like, maybe I can climb up there, or Mimir on your hip being like, oi, Kratos, why don't we do, like, you got nothing, bro.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
You're just stuck with your brain and your thoughts, and your brain telling you you're too dumb to figure this out. Like, it is crazy.
I'm glad
how just non-existent the backseating is compared to, I feel, how in your face it typically is with modern games. So get ready for that. But yeah, I mean, just the amount of of gameplay elements going on, and then the puzzle elements and the
The
combat
fuck?
elements. And there's a ton of stuff we didn't even touch on. I mean, towards the end of the play session, some dude was crying that his cows got stolen, and he had a goat next to him, and I was like, screw it, what happens if I take your goat? So I took his goat, and then it was like a GTA
Fuck yeah, let's go.
style thing where like there's a red zone, and I had to run out of that zone. So I run out of the zone, I got the guy's goat, and then I'm just standing.
See this shit. We got percentage. How much we've explored. How much we've found. Good. Oof. We're gonna explore.
There with this fucking goat in my arms, and I'm like, what do I do with this goat? And then afterwards I was asking them, and they were like, oh well, you know, you can get to like where you're gonna have a farm, and there's a whole animal husbandry system, so you can raise animals and butcher them and sell them, and then, you know, bring
What the fuck? You fucking have a farm, breed goats, sell the meat, and just live off of that. Fuck, it's a simulation. It's a fucking simulation. It's okay. It's wild.
goods into the camp, and I'm like, bro, there's just so much going on in this game. I feel like I need a college level course just to understand what the fuck is happening. So honestly, both good and bad, because like I can tell you right now, this game is gonna be overwhelming the fuck out of some people. At the same time, if you are looking for the type of RPG where the game is like,
I like. Oh yeah. Oh, a lot of games don't want to even tackle this. Fire. And you see what they had to do? Just bring the arrow over to the fire. I know Assassin's Creed does it, but shut up. This is something different. You know, just Ubisoft can never decide what they want to do. But they, Pearl Abyss, ooh, they did it.
hey, would you like to spend the
Look
next
at that.
100 to 200 hours of your life in this world? Yeah, you've probably found it, because there is just an insane amount of stuff in the gameplay elements of this game that it's going to have available. So, yeah. Moving on from there, talking about the world design a little bit. World design was definitely more on the grounded side. Obviously, we have pretty standard medieval type world going on. We have the various bases that we were able to take over. I got to briefly go into the Abyss area and do some of the puzzles there. Fast travel was unlocked via points in the Abyss. So from what I was able to grasp, we would like do an Abyss section, and then that is going to give us a fast travel, and then we could fast travel to that and then drop back into the overworld from there. I wasn't completely clear on it, but it seemed like the Abyss was basically just like way up in the sky. That's kind of what I was able to gather, but there was like warping and portals and all sorts of shit going on, and I wasn't fully clear on utilizing the fast travel in the Abyss to get around in the world. But you know, that's it kind of comes with territory with.
Hold on. So you gotta fast travel over to the Abyss and then fast travel where you want to go? Oh, I don't know if I like it. But how much are we really gonna fast travel though? I don't think I've ever fast traveled in Red Dead Redemption 2. I haven't done it once because it's so much from point A to point B. It's just so much to do. Why do you want to skip that? And just riding that horse? Oh, just that is amazing. I hope it feels just as amazing.
These preview events, because you don't typically have the time to get 100% grasp of everything that's going on. You're kind of just flying by the edge of your seat. But so there is a fast travel type system. It is something that you have to unlock as you progress. In general, though, the world design with like going through zones and then capturing forts and whatnot seemed like it would be pretty cool. I tried to ride way on out into the distance to do a bounty mission that I had, and unfortunately I hit an invisible wall, which afterwards they were like, well, we gave you the entire first area to explore, but we didn't want people going beyond that. Which does make me think that there is potential for like crazy loot you might be able to find if you're just free exploring and running out in the world. Because I did ask about difficulty, and they said that in general the difficulty will scale as you progress through the game, and it tends to be static. So like if you were at the end of the game and you were, you know, super god mode with all of your legendary gear, or however it ends up being paced out in this, and you went back to the starter zone, you're going to be sneezing and killing enemies.
Yeah, I don't mind that, to be honest. I don't mind. It feels like an old system. I also like when it's scalable, so it doesn't become too easy. It's just a small thing. It doesn't matter. It's okay.
Because, you know, very similar to kind of how zoning works in an MMO. Like, the enemies at the start are still going to be the baby enemies, whereas the enemies in the late game zones, those are going to be your larger, your stronger, you know, your more challenging opponents. The game does not have dynamic scaling where everything in the world is perpetually scaled to what you are. Story elements, I'm not going to really touch on story at all, since that goes more into spoiler territory. The story in general, though, we have like a revenge story set up here with our main character and how he gets ambushed at the start and whatnot, and then he kind of sets off on his journey to try and find his comrades and try and rebuild what was lost. So I think it's a story that people are going to be able to latch onto. There was some pretty interesting little conversations I got to have as I played, but especially because we like just barely touched on the Abyss storyline, and it seems like there is a big overarching Destiny chosen one type theme that might be going on, but I didn't really have the time to lean into that. And, you know, to be completely honest, typically when I'm presented with stuff like that in preview events, I'm skipping dialogue as fast as possible because I know I don't have the time to process it then, and I don't want to. I'd rather save that for the Let's Play experience. So the bits and pieces that I got of the story, it seemed like the story could be pretty cool, but I purposefully was pushing to skip past story elements as to not spoil myself. So moving on and talking a little bit about the graphics and the performance. I think it's no surprise the graphics for this game are just absolutely insane.
The fuck?
I think probably one of the biggest things that stood out to me.
I bet you it's gonna look way better than this. YouTube doesn't do games justice at all. Just with Marathon, fuck, it looked kind of okay, yeah. But then when you play it, fuck, looks way better.
Though was in the night sections, the way lighting works in this game is pretty insane.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
The lantern is your best friend. Shadows are cast super far. You're not seeing far in the dark. Like to the point where I'm like, you know, I almost hope there's like some upgrades, because there was a section where I was wandering out at night and like I could barely tell where I was going. I was just like, bro, I'm stumbling through the dark. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. In terms of performance, we were playing on some AMD.
Welcome to real life
setups. I'm not sure exactly what card, but the game was running smooth like butter. And they had it running in ultra wide. I had a lot of people ask that. I did ask about console performance, since all the footage, including my own, up till now has been PC. And the answer I got from them was actually pretty respectable. They said that regardless of what we say, people probably won't believe us. So instead, we are sending the game to Digital Foundry, and they'll have a full analysis of performance across all the platforms at launch. So if you're curious about performance, definitely.
That is respectable. Fuck it up. That is. Yes, that's the way. Just then people will believe. If you tell them, if you give IGN the game and they test it, no, they're not going to believe it. But Digital Foundry, yeah, they do the deep dive. They will believe them. Smart.
Keep your eye out for that. Moving on to talk about audio a little bit. This is an area I didn't really get to evaluate as much as I would have liked, mainly because of the type of environment we were in. You know, we're talking about 30 plus creators all in a space playing the game at the same time. There's a lot of background noise, a lot of discussions, a lot of chatter. So you don't really get to like close your eyes, take in the ambiance of the world, really appreciate the music the same way you would when you're like playing by yourself, you know, surround sound headphones, all that stuff. But from what I did play, at least, the audio effects on combat and whatnot were all very crisp. Like the parry sounds lined up when you would parry. The attacks in particular sounded really good, especially some of like the executes. Like the stuff sounded visceral. So that is something that I always look forward to. So I feel like sound design in combat is a huge part. You know, imagine playing like, you know, take your pick, playing Kazan, but if the game's muted, it's just not the same. And so we think the combat sounds
fuck no, it's not. It's not the same at
all.
all.
Sound was obviously elevated, and I was able to really take a moment and kind of appreciate that. But yeah, early on at least, the audio design seems like it'll be solid. Didn't really get to experience all that much of the music, so that's something that we'll have to wait for launch.
Take him down.
Now, in terms of length, how long is this game supposed to be?
Yeah.
And the main takeaway I got was that
400 hours. Yeah, 400.
It is huge. I couldn't tease a specific hour out of them, but talking about the game and general progression and how things work, and especially in regards to like, unlocking stuff, because I know a lot of people want to know, okay, when do I get, you know, when does the base get up and running? When do I get the other characters? When do I get like the mech, the dragon, and all that stuff? And he said that all of the progression stuff like that is tied into the main story, But the main story is very much just a slice of the world and all the different things that you're able to do in the world, the side adventures, the puzzles, the exploration, the various relics and whatnot that you can find. That's where the meat and potatoes are. And so one of the examples I brought up is like, you know, thinking about God of War Ragnarok. You go through a solid, very solid chunk of Ragnarok, probably more than 2/3 of it, before you get the spear. And you're able to work the spear into your combat kit. And I was like, by comparison, you know, how is the progression of the world in this game? And I couldn't really get a straight answer because I didn't want to give like a total length type thing.
No, don't.
Basically, what it was described was that the campaign was going to be smaller, significantly so, than the amount of raw content the game has. So almost.
Fucking hell, of course. I mean, hey, it's fine. It's okay. I love it. Let's go. Just the story doesn't have to fit the content. The story length don't have to fit the length of the rest of the content. Like, who the fuck said that? Nobody. Unless it's stupid. This is fine. Fuck yeah. Crimson? Yes, it is.
Almost like the inverse, where if you think of the campaign might encompass a quarter or a third of the entire game. But then when you look at all the activities you can do, all the bounties you can do, the bases you can take, the treasures you can find, the relics, that's where all the content really is. And
hell yeah.
They're really pushing kind of just a free-form adventure where like there is a campaign that you can follow if you want to just, you know, stay on the path and burn through it. But if you want to dig deep and really do everything that's available, there is going to be a 100+ hour journey.
Yeah, but how else will we get the stuff that we want, like a flying dragon? We have to do the story to get it. That's the thing. We don't just get it or find it in the map. We have to do the story. I just think how much the game changes when you have the dragon. Or the raptor, huh? Just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da on that raptor shit, yeah.
For the players that are looking for that. And, you know, it's something that I'm excited for, but I'm also cautious for at the same time, just because, you know, it is very easy to get overwhelmed with how much content a game has and then hit a burnout point. But from what I've played, the content seems diverse and well thought out enough that I don't think I'll hit that burnout point. But it is still...
And yes, you can talk to everyone, huh? Just like Red Dead?
Something that I'm going into being cautious about. So final thoughts after experiencing everything. I am going in now cautiously optimistic. I think everything that I saw of this game and marketing for the game and everything they were talking about, it did feel like a fever dream. You know, you're telling me you got this giant open world game with bases and activities and dragons and mechs and magic and all this shit going on. And I think a lot of people's question has been, you know, what's the catch? Because you're selling me too much good shit here. What is the
yeah, that's the thing.
You know, is the animation sloppy? Is the
it's too much good shit. Like there has to be something. But they've told us time and time again, no, we're showing everything just as it is. This is how you'll get it. There's nothing wrong. There may be a box here and there, but hey, it works. It works better than Todd Howard on stage.
Performance bad. Like, there has to be something bad. And, you know, I honestly hate that we kind of gotten to that point in gaming where it's like, every time there's something that looks like it's going to be amazing, we're like, well, there's got to be something wrong with it, you know. Everything shits its pants in one way or another these days. What's the stinky situation with this one? And at least based on what I played, there wasn't any one thing that stood out as like, oh, this is it. This is the problem. I do think the puzzles are going to be very divisive for a lot of people. I think people love to go on the internet and complain like, oh, there's yellow paint. I could have solved this without the yellow paint. And now that they're about to get a game that doesn't have yellow paint, I think a lot of people are about to get a really rude...
I don't know if you can hear the voice in the background, but you can hear his, like, Cliff's voice is muffled because of the helmet. The attention to detail is sweet. And I agree with Cowboy. I think now people are going to complain. I don't know what to do. Give me yellow paint. You can't please gamers. Just make the game you want to play. You want to play yourself, basically. Just what the fuck?
Wake up.
And make a game that people want to play. Don't forget that.
That they are way fucking dumber than they thought when it comes to figuring out how to do stuff in games.
Fuck yeah.
And so I definitely think that's going to be a point of contention. I'm calling it now. When reviews come out, I would 100% bet that the number one complaint is going to be like dumb puzzles too hard. Controls also, I think that's going to be another big point in the discussion. I'm still undecided if I want to play mouse and keyboard or controller, but the learning curve for the controls is definitely there. I think that is, if I had to pick one thing that stood out, the control scheme, just because there's so much going on, and there's overlapping commands that have differing usages based on the state of the character and the world. And I mean, button confusion is definitely a thing. I think it's something that people will be able to work past pretty quickly.
Yep.
But those would be the two things, honestly. I think people are going to get overwhelmed by puzzles, and I think button confusion with the controls. But I mean, at least where we're at now, I'm excited for it. You know.
Okay.
It's been, I mean, the last big open world adventure like this that I got was
and then you removed the mask.
Probably
like,
Dragon's Dogma 2. Before that was Elden Ring. Before that was probably The Witcher. And,
I wish he had an animation to take it off, but it's fine.
You know, we don't get these like giant open world games that you can really like dig into the content.
No, like we talked about, it's just basically GTA nowadays. That's the only big open world game that we're getting. That's really like attention to detail and it's just good. Fucking hell. I'm glad somebody else is trying. We had Deep Silver and Saints Row, the remake, but wow, let's not talk about that failure. Oof.
Combat and activities and whatnot in the world, and I know a lot of people have been saying, you know, like this looks like what I wanted Dragon's Dogma 2 to be.
That's
and
huge.
At least based on what I've played, I'm starting to agree with that a little bit. Obviously, we don't have the pawn system here, and we're not like climbing on monsters and stabbing limbs. That's one of the biggest things I like about Dragon's Dogma, but just the level of like emergent gameplay that we saw them experimenting with in Dragon's Dogma, with like environment destruction and being able to use elements of the environment to influence encounters. Ooh, I got to see a lot of that as we were playing this, like trees that would break and you were using magic to lift up the tree and swing that shit around. Areas where you could light it on fire and then that area is on fire and it's something that you and the enemies have to contend with. You know, something like that is a level of immersion that we don't usually see all that often in large open world RPGs. Or when we do see it, it's very scripted and very limited in its execution.
Yeah.
Whereas here it seems a lot more freeform and kind of like it's just integrated into the world. So I'm going in cautiously optimistic. At this point, it feels like they have had a chance to cook.
They've been cooking. Oh, they've been cooking. And we gonna eat it. And we gonna enjoy it. We're gonna take a shit. Just what we said. Just gonna take a shit and keep on going.
I think it was like 7 years. And this seems like it was a true 7 years of dev time. Not a like 4 years in paralysis. And then 2 years throwing together the initial product. And then, you know, 1 year trying to get it out the door for delivery. This feels like it's been 7 years of, this is the vision and we're going to fucking cook. So
hell yeah.
You know, fingers crossed the final product is as dope as what I got a chance to play. They did already announce that reviews will be out on the 18th of March. So exactly 24 hours before the PC launch. I will be reviewing the game and I will be reviewing it on PC. So for a better idea of the full experience, make sure to swing back by. And
I will also play it on PC.
With a controller for y'all then. But yeah, I mean, either way, after playing, I'm looking forward to this one now. I'm officially a believer, and I'm gonna choose to believe that this game is gonna be a banger when it comes out. So that one's gonna wrap things up for me. Let me know if y'all got any questions down in the comments below. I know there was a lot to cover, so I hopefully didn't forget anything. But like I said, overwhelming is probably still the number one word that comes to mind, because there's just so much to discuss when it comes to this game that I'm sure some stuff slipped through the cracks. But regardless, we're going to close this one out here, and I will catch y'all next time.
Fuck yeah. Oh, yes. I freaking...
And I had to run.
Yep. Wow. There's so much. And, like, just... He played, like, what was it? 5 hours of the start of the game. Barely scratched the surface. So just think everything he talked about. And just add a lot more. You fucking own a farm. Yeah, just 2 more weeks. It's gonna be fun. Oh, I can't wait. We're gonna enjoy it so much. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm getting wet right now just thinking about it. 2 more weeks.